Welcome to It's a Crime. I'm Linda, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of an exploration into the triangle that Barry Morphew talked about in the Suzanne Morphew case. He said that he's confident that Suzanne isn't in it. Now, in a previous video, I did do one on the triangle theory, and I stated that perhaps that's where we should be looking, is at that triangle or in it. So today we're going to explore what's in the triangle and just outside of it. But before I get started, if you'd like to be part of the It's a Crime community, please click that subscribe button below, hit that notification bell to all, also give it a like if you support this video, and please share this out where you can. Now, let's get into it. In the one and only video that Barry Morphew appeared in, he talked to Tyson Draper about the triangle. Now, he creates the triangle by saying the RV park, Tyson's truck, this road, and the next road.
We've covered all of this really good, this triangle, with search and rescue. So we're pretty comfortable that she's not in this triangle between the RV park, your truck, this road, and then the next road.
Something to note, when Barry talks to Tyson in this video, Barry isn't aware of Tyson knowing where they live. So the questions arise. Does Barry say the triangle to Tyson because he wants the house to be safe, and since Tyson states that he wants to help, does Barry want Tyson to leave that area alone? Number two, is it that Barry truly searched that entire area and is in fact confident Suzanne isn't in there? Or is it that he doesn't want anyone to go into the triangle because Suzanne may be in that area, or there's evidence that she was in there? So let's talk about the facts and dive into the triangle. Here's where the home is located, right in the middle of the triangle. 19057 Puma Path. Now, it's recently been placed on the market. It was investigated for 11 days back in May, and then authorities returned again to the home on July the 9th. Now, the bike was found in the northwest corner of the triangle. Only the bike. There's no evidence of a mountain lion or an abduction at that site. Notable, the authorities did not announce the bike being found, nor any indication that Suzanne was on the bike, or any evidence of her helmet. Now, the RV park that Barry points out is called the Monarch Spur RV Park. It's in the east side of the triangle. During May, from my understanding, it was shut down due to COVID. It's a quiet place and there aren't neighbors around in that area. It's a secluded area, especially if it's closed. Barry Morphew's home is just to the west of it, and another home just north of that. Also notable, there is a river that runs by it and a body of water. Now let's talk about the trail cameras. At the south edge of the triangle, Barry set up trail cams during the search that Suzanne's brother Andy coordinated. He also was seen carrying a rifle on his shoulder. The questions I have are, did Barry have cameras around his house set up as well? And are the cameras in the front of his house, and were they or are they working? There was chatter that in the beginning of this whole mess that his cameras weren't working. I don't know if that is a rumor or not, but I do wonder if they were working or not. The other question is, what is Barry looking for? Who is Barry looking for? Is he looking for people walking on the trail? People walking towards his house? Is he looking for an animal? Is he looking for the mountain lion? And if he's setting up trail cams there, did he also set up trail cams over where the bike was found? That's another point of entry. The other point of entry is where the RV park is. This is interesting to me. Why only that one trail? Also, is there more points of entry that we don't know about or that he's worried about? Now, when we look at the different points of entry at that trail, it leads to Fusis Lake, and it also leads to his house. And it also leads out to where the RV park is. So if he had trail cams up there, then he's looking for something on the trail perhaps, or in the surrounding area. I'd like to know how many cameras he set up and which way it was pointing at this point. And it seems as though, in my opinion, that the people who were looking for Suzanne at that search weren't very well received by Barry that day. Anyone has a right to be on that trail, and the timing of him setting up those cams and also carrying a rifle on his back is certainly making a statement. Also, another well-known fact is Barry did not participate in that search. Now, in the triangle, there's also a cabin, and it's just off of Highway 50 and just south of the road. It's in the triangle. What's interesting here is it used to be called Arborville, which is a ghost town. This place shown actually used to be a brothel. And an interesting fact, Maysville used to be called Crazy Camp and then was changed to Maysville. Maysville has a population of 135 people, so remember it's teeny tiny, and during COVID in the spring it would have been extra quiet. Now, recently I had asked if anyone knew about a fire that happened in the area in May, and I want to thank all of you who have been sending in so much information. I really do appreciate it. So there were conflicting reports of where the fire happened and even the date, but I found it. It happened to be on May 4th at 4:04 p.m., and that was almost a week before Suzanne went missing. Some reports made it sound like it was around this cabin near Suzanne and Barry's house. That's why I'm bringing it up. But in fact, it's just a little outside the triangle, but we'll get to that in a minute. So now let's explore just outside of this triangle. And as I was working on this video and doing some further research, I found that there was another road just below Suzanne and Barry's house. In Tyson's video, when I first looked at the directions Barry gave, I thought he was referring to the trail that I mentioned earlier in this video. However, he could have been referencing Highway 222. And what's interesting is if I take the south end of the triangle and extend it further down, I end up hitting Jasper Mine. Now, in this picture, the blue line is traveling to the Jasper Mine from where the bike was found to the end of the road leading to the mine. From Barry's house, it's a 32-minute drive. Now, up at the north end of the triangle, just above it, that's where Suzanne's bike helmet was found. This was about 4 to 5 days after Suzanne was reported missing. If it was an abduction, the bike helmet is a head scratcher, in my opinion, especially since it was said to have been found just west of Highway 50. But I guess if the animal theory didn't work and the abduction theory is the next option, a person really couldn't go back to the scene of the bike to place a helmet, in my opinion. Now let's go back to that fire that happened a week before. I first thought that the fire happened to the east of Barry's home. However, I had access to the actual CAD information when the call came in. And it was at 4:04 p.m. and it was just 2 miles east of Monarch is what the CAD says. And it also talks about mile marker 207. Now, it's still near the home, but it's just west of where the triangle is. And interestingly, in the articles it said the cause was a small branch on power lines. However, on the CAD, when the call came in, it states it's human caused. So in this picture, you could see mile marker 207. And then just east of that, you'll see Puma Path in the picture. Now in this picture, when you take a look at it, you can see the red dot that says Foosis Creek. And it did state it was west of that creek. So mile marker 207 is just above that on the highway. And it's in that general area that burned. When the call came in, it said about 2.2 acres, I believe, but reports are saying it was 5.5 at the end of it. Now, what's interesting is also the power lines that are running is just slightly above where Foosis Creek is and where that road is. It's just slightly north. You can kind of see that it looks like a dirt road, but that's actually where the power lines are. So if we keep looking at the outside of the triangle or just outside, There's an interesting spot as well called the Colorado Fire Camp. That's where they do their training for the wildfires. Also, in the beginning of the investigation, we know that Suzanne and Barry's house was investigated and Barry had to go stay with a friend. And where it is, from my understanding, is just slightly northeast to where Barry's home is. You can see it's just above where Creekside Chalet and Cabins are at that red dot. Also, there was reports that week that it was just too soon for Barry to go on camera and do an interview, and also it was mentioned that Barry was looking out the window hoping he can see her. Now, if we go back to the video with Tyson and Barry again, Barry mentions about men's clothes being found at Fouss's Lake. And when you look at the map, it is just at the end of that trail, and that we spoke about earlier where Barry did the trail cams. It leads to that road, which leads to the Fouss's Dam, where Barry was talking about Fouss's Lake. He said he found men's clothing there. So again, very close to the triangle. And one of the things that I found really interesting is when Barry's talking about the triangle, he's being very precise, in my opinion. He's not saying to Tyson, you know, this general triangle area here is where we looked. He's saying the RV park, and he doesn't even talk about where they're standing. He says the RV park, your truck, this road, the next road. So it forms a triangle. I find it very, very interesting. Maybe it's something, maybe it's not something, but he is very detailed in making sure he talks about over here, extending that triangle a little bit more. Find it interesting. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And I've had many comments on the triangle theory. And I want to thank you to all of you who have been commenting and participating in this discussion. I don't believe Suzanne is necessarily at the Morphew house, but I do believe it has to do something with the triangle, and whether it's the larger triangle or the smaller one. Now, going back again to the video, Barry also contradicts himself. He actually numerous times he contradicts himself, but in particular, he tells Tyson that he searched all over the mountains and it doesn't hurt to retrace searches. And he also says, but obviously we're going to miss things. And he says it like that.
But we've searched. It's never going to hurt to retrace searches. So we've searched a 200-mile radius. What? Really? All of the mountains have been covered so far. But obviously we're going to miss things.
But then what he says is he's confident that Suzanne is not in the triangle. And what I'm picking up on is he just finished saying that it doesn't hurt to retrace searches. But he's saying no need to look in there pretty much because we're confident she's not in there. So this gives me a red flag in my opinion. Also, what he's contradicting himself on is he's telling Tyson that it doesn't hurt to retrace searches, but yet when there's another search that Andy Mormon did and brought hundreds of people along with him, that Barry chooses not to go in that search. So those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you have any information that you'd like me to take a look at, you can email me at itsacrimeandashame@gmail.com. Also, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe, please like, and please share. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon.